Welcome back to another weekly update for Robinhood. I do apologize that this is coming out later than normal, but I did throw an update on Twitter, so if you guys want to know what's going on, that's the best place to look for that kind of stuff. Anyways, getting started on the video here, let's look at all the charts. So this is the 1-day chart, the 1-week chart. Obviously, we had kind of a sell-off here the past couple of days. The 1-month chart, 3-month chart, 1-year chart, and of course the all-time chart. So big correction happened the past couple of days. Should have been expected. Again, we had a huge run up. I did not expect that to really happen or go as far as it did, but it did, and it was exciting. Didn't change my strategy at all. We just do what we do every week, dollar cost average $100 into my dividend paying stocks here. So correction was expected. It did happen. We'll see what happens the next week. Doesn't really matter what happens, but it is fun to talk about it and kind of speculate. I would expect next week to maybe be a little bit more red. We'll see. The jobs report came out today, and I think it was okay. I haven't even had time to look at it. I've been so damn busy, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Like I said, doesn't really matter. Our strategy continues to be the same. In the grand scheme of things, this portfolio is technically in its infancy stages if we're going to hold on to it for decades. So now, as far as purchases for the week, we talked about getting Pfizer the past couple of weeks. This week, I finally decided to buy some more into it. Basically, with the sell-off, the average cost that I had and the market cost was almost in line. So I figured we're not really dollar cost averaging up or down. We're kind of just breaking even. So probably a good time to get in. That's probably a good price for this company. So I decided to throw in my $100 investment here. So we got almost 4 shares in this company with the average cost being about $36.39. So not too bad. Not huge returns on this, but again, big dividend grower, which we'll go over in the dividend tracker in a second. So these are last week's numbers. $295 annual income, dividend growth -0.9, which has been very slow to try to fix that, and dividend yield is 4.28. Looking at this week, income is up to 306 with the addition of Pfizer. Dividend growth is a positive 0.2%. We'll talk about that in a second. And the dividend yield is 4.31%. So obviously, going back to last week, dividend growth was negative. We've been tackling that for a very long time, and it's been very slow changes in the right direction, but it's been taking several weeks just to even see like a 0.1 percentage point difference. So looking at this week, now it's positive, and I'm thinking it's because Simply Safe did some updating. Scrolling through all my stocks and holdings here, the only negative dividend grower now is AGNC. So I think they just did an update over the past year, basically, because that's all this column is 1 year of dividend growth. So PSEC isn't negative. I'm pretty sure it was before. So with that being still kind of a big portion of the portfolio here, 7%, I think that's kind of what happened, is kind of explaining the dividend growth here now being positive. So it's a good thing. This says over the last 5 years, this column is 1 year. So I'm still not really 100% sure what's going on, but regardless, it's a move in the right direction. So with that being said, we still need to get this number up. So strategy doesn't change. We need to get this probably a couple percentage points. I would think 2% is reasonable. We'll have to see what I can pull off, but it's going to take some time to basically continue to add into that. All right, so I'm recording this on September 4th, which means August came to an end. We ended with $23.23 for August. Much better than July, which we were expecting, since August is kind of a heavier month for income. Look at the graph. Again, we got this uptrending pattern. Hopefully it continues, but if you go back to Simply Safe here, September is a little bit slower. It's not one of like the big quarterly months like August was. So we should still expect to see an increase over August, but we'll have to see how everything pans out. I could calculate it if I wanted to, but I kind of just like to see what happens here as in regards to the portfolio. But yeah, that about covers everything we normally talk about. You know, for those people that might be newer to the stock market and they see these big dips, kind of corrections is what they're called, and they get scared, that tells me you aren't ready to be in the stock market or haven't, learned enough to kind of understand what's going on. If you're doing a long-term strategy, you need to not feel anything when that happens. I mean, basically, these corrections are going to happen, and if you're holding for the long term, you can't let the emotional side of you get fearful and like possibly sell out of your portfolio. This correction wasn't terrible, but it was like something I logged into and was like, geez, what's going on right now? But yeah, I mean, if the market came back down to these points here, I would actually be pretty excited. We'd be getting in on good pricing. Obviously, you'd have to be worried about what companies are doing well and kind of recheck everything, see what's going on, maybe do a little bit more research during those tougher times. But yeah, corrections are going to happen. You should really just be taking advantage of it, not being too fearful, and hopefully getting some good prices before we get to the next high point. But that about wraps it up for this week's video. Again, I apologize that is a little later than normal. Just been very busy with the earned income section of my life. But yeah, we'll leave it at that for today. Hopefully I can get the M1 Finance video out tomorrow. I am working. I'm not sure if they're going to have me work all day or just a couple hours, but regardless, I'll make sure that video gets uploaded at least by the end of the night tomorrow. So with that being said, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one.